Really quick, everybody, this entire vid will be timestamped, so if you don't want to watch all the things, just get straight into a different fight, please check the pinned comment or check the little red bar right down below you. Again, this entire vid will be timestamped, and I'd appreciate you guys watching whatever part that you'd like to. If you're sticking around, guys, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels, and welcome back to a full card breakdown and prediction. This time for Sergei versus Curtis. We have a really fun card ahead of us that I won't be able to watch, unfortunately, but I'm going to break down and give my predictions for every single fight on the card. We're going to straight into the first one. Timestamps are there if you would like to use them. Starting off with the first fight, and this should be a little bit interesting. Batgerel Danaa versus Brady Hiestand. Okay, so here's the thing. Dana's coming off of a couple losses. However, it didn't look horrible in those losses. Hiestand, however, has been inactive. Or like, not inactive, like, what do you call it? Unpredictable. A little bit up and down, up and down, up and down. You know what I mean? He's been okay, but I do like his skill set. This is going to be primarily a grappler versus striker matchup, with Brady being the one who want to take it down. I do like him in this matchup because he does put on a really nice amount of pressure. He has a lot of cardio. Like, his cardio is very underrated. 23 years old, be able to go. He's coming off of a win, and also he's been very inactive too. So coming off of a win 4 months ago, he has a lot of momentum going to this fight. And where Danaa struggled last time was a little bit too, I don't know about pressure, but he was caught, like, just being outstruck. Like, his last two fights just didn't impress me. You know what I mean? And coming off of 9 months ago, I do like Brady in this one. I like the momentum he has, and I feel like he will be able to get into the ground. I don't know about a finish, because Danaa's pretty good. I'm going to go with just a win, I don't know how, by Hiestand in this matchup. Moving on to the next fight, Priscila Cachoeira versus Karine Silva. This is an interesting fight, okay? Because Zombie Girl is coming off of a really good win against Ariane Lipski, and I was picking her to lose that fight, but she ended up looking pretty good. But then again, like, I think people overhype Ariane Lipski. I don't think she's nearly, well, 14-7 kind of speaks for itself. I don't think she's as good as people think. Maybe, like, they hype her up just a little bit because she's pretty. But she's coming off of, like, wins, and this loss to Jillian Robertson is aging very well, because it seems like she's had a career resurgence. Looked amazing in her last fight, especially in, like, just the grappling. It's not here to talk about Jillian Robertson, though. Moving on to Silva, though. Coming off of wins. Like, she's been looking real good, however, quite inactive. And that's something that I will take into consideration here, because she's really good. She's someone who will come forward, but Zombie Girl is one of those fighters, one of those rare female fighters who has power. Her punches have a huge sting to it, and we don't see that a lot in this division, especially the flyweight division. Or this is a bantamweight. Oh, what fight is this batch taking? Because I was thinking bantamweight. Where does it say here if this is going to be? Oh, it's going to be at flyweight. Okay. Oh, so she's moving down a division, Zombie Girl. I did not know that. Depends how the weight cut goes. Assuming that it goes okay, which I would imagine it would, maybe her power would just be even more so. That just, like, really swayed me. I'm going to go with Cachoeira to win this. Plus, I do like the experience with the fighters that she's been in there with compared to Silva, who's been inactive, and who she fought. Nobody, really. But, of course, again, like, as we talk about a lot with women's MMA, anything can happen. I never bet on it. But I am going to go with Cachoeira, especially I did not know until now that she was moving down a division, which is very interesting. But I'm going to go with Cachoeira to get the win. Maybe by knockout. Moving on to the next fight, guys. This should be a fun one. Francis Marshall versus William Gomis. I don't know who's going to win this one. This is kind of like a 50-50 fight for me because both guys have looked fantastic. I worry because Marshall is one of those guys that has no problem throwing himself into a firefight. He's going to look for takedowns. He's going to throw himself in there and just move forward with his hands down, kind of looking for that takedown. So the day is coming. He hasn't lost yet, but the day is coming where he's going to get cracked with a knee, cracked with an uppercut, because he is quite reckless but effective. William Gomis, though, is a really good all-around fighter. Like, he can take it. I feel like if he goes down to the ground, he might be comfortable there and be able to get up, maybe this will be the fight where Marshall gets cracked. I'm waiting for that, and Gomis has that power, and he's a really nice prospect coming up. He's looked good pretty much everywhere, but so is Francis. Tough fight. I'm not going to lie, this one's a 50-50 for me. I don't know what to think. I'm excited to see who wins, though. If you had a gun to my head, I would choose Gomis, but I'm not sure. Moving on to the next fight, this one should be fun. Mohammed Usman versus Junior Tafa. Now, it is important to note that Tafa is the brother of Justin Tafa, who is a very good kickboxer, but a lot of people feel that Junior Tafa is better than his brother. He's looked 4-0 so far. He's looked great, but the problem is not that much experience. But then again, Mohammed Usman doesn't have that much experience himself. Coming in 8-2, Mohammed Usman, I thought he was going to lose his last fight. But he came out, and no matter how much times this, and I'm not saying like it's exclusive to this fight, there's times where I've watched him where this dude gets tagged, and I'm like, you know what? I think somebody else will be better than him. You know what I mean? But then he just, boom, lands a huge bomb. You know what I mean? This dude has power. Tafa's probably going to be the better striker. This is probably going to be a stand-up fight. Tafa is very quick, very precise. But all it takes from Usman is just one of those fighters. All it takes is one shot from him. Might be able to put it down. And I feel like that's going to happen again, especially somebody who's 4-0. Hasn't been in there with somebody like Mohammed Usman. And it's not like Mohammed Usman is like this amazing, amazing fighter. He could be. It's just he's a little bit unproven so far. But I just see Tafa tagging him a little bit in the first round and then Usman landing a bomb. It's just a gut feeling for that one. So I am going to go with Mohammed Usman, but a very, very interesting fight. Moving on to the next fight, Karol Rosa versus Norma Dumont. This one should be a little bit interesting because I feel like they're a little bit similar in skill sets. This fight could hit the floor, and I don't know. They both have shown that they can do what they want on the floor. Something, though, that to note is Norma Dumont, her last fight might actually like put her over the edge for me because she took on Danielle Wolf, but I understand. Like, you look at Danielle Wolf and she's 1-0, but Danielle Wolf had a lot of hype coming in. And Norma Dumont just smashed that hype. She looked great. And she's coming off a lot of momentum there. But Karol Rosa, like, she's a good, like, they're both good fighters. You know? Bantamweight division, it's tough to pick who's going to win this one. I feel like they really are that, like, kind of similar. I do want to lean towards Dumont, though. How long has it been? It's been 5 months since a Lena Landsberg win. But Lena Landsberg isn't really, these wins aren't, like, all that impressive. Neither of them have really had impressive wins so far, but I think that's to the lack of competition up in their divisions. But Danielle Wolf, like, she looked great in that fight. I might just pick her just because of the momentum. But it's like, it's not really a good thing to just pick somebody off of. You know what I mean? So it's a tough fight. I'm going to go with Dumont, but I'm not too sure. Moving on to the next fight, Rani Yahya versus Montel Jackson. Now, guys, I got to say, I agree with the odds on this one. It's a huge favor for Montel Jackson. I don't see a way he actually loses this fight. Of course, it's MMA and anything can happen. But Rani Yahya, he's pushing 40. He's been off for how long now? 1 year and 4 months. He's coming off, and he, like, it's tough because Rani Yahya, he's a good grappler, but he doesn't have good takedowns. And Montel Jackson has the defense, and he's young. He's in his prime. He has a defense to be able to push him off, I think. I think it's just going to be a clinic from Jackson. I think he's going to crack him, probably put him away. Montel Jackson's pretty good. I just see Rani Yahya doing what Rani Yahya does and just going for takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown, but I don't think Montel Jackson will be going down. If he does go down, I feel like he'll be able to get up. Yeah, Rani definitely has a submission game, but I just don't see it happening. I agree with the odds on this one. I'm picking Montel Jackson. Moving on to the next fight, and this is one that I'm not so sure about. Ricky Glenn versus Christos Giagos. Now, they're not just strikers or grapplers, but this will be probably a striker versus grappler matchup with Glenn having the superior hands and Christos having the superior ground game. Now, it's important to note that they both been inactive and they both haven't been doing too well recently. Ricky Glenn, if you remember his last fight, it was actually really, really fun. Came out with the majority. He was losing, but then just all of a sudden out of nowhere came back with fire. Got a 10-8 round, which was really fun. Before that, Joaquim Silva, and then he ran into some losses, win-loss. But that, you're talking like 4 years ago, right? He's coming back 1 year, and it's been 1 year and 5 months. He was active last year, but still, very inactive. And how long's it been since? Yeah, I knew it was a long time, too, for him, too. But, however, more active. Something too important to note for the Spartan, though, is his losses have aged very well. Armin Tsarukyan, Thiago Moises, and Close's okay. But still, hasn't gotten a win over somebody really, really that great. But same with Ricky Glenn. But coming again, like, really beating on Grant Dawson does look good. And this is the problem. And I did like Danis Bermudez, but that's 4 years ago. It makes me miss Danis Bermudez, man. I miss that guy. Anyways. Oh, this is a tough one to pick. I might lean towards a Spartan. But then again, like, here's my thing. Because I know he's been in there with better fighters. And he can win. He can grapple them. He can push a really good pace. But his striking lacks. And Glenn, we've seen, is never out of a fight. Never out of a fight. Especially in his last performance. Tough fight to pick. I will pick. I might have to go with the Spartan. But this is like a 55-45, guys. Glenn is no joke. Like, both fighters are nowhere near the top, right? But this is a really fun matchup to pair these two specifically together. I'm going to go with Christos Giagos to win this. But Ricky Glenn can pull it off. And we've seen that he's demonstrated really, really well in his last fight. Moving on to the next fight, we have Jeremiah Wells versus Matt Semelsberger. And man, my apologies, I scrolled a little too far there. So, really, really interesting fight. Jeremiah Wells has looked sensational so far. Has magnificent power. Power that'll put your lights out. And Matt could be in trouble this one, especially the fighter who just likes to come forward. The only thing to note here for me that is making me go, is Wells is 36. When's he going to start slowing down? Looked good so far, but the day's coming. Matt Semelsberger, I was very impressed by his win over Jake Matthews. He looked fantastic in that fight, and I was very high at Jake Matthews at the time. It's like we took that hype from Jake Matthews because Jake Matthews was like looking great. Now I really like Semelsberger. I think he's great. Tough fight because Matt Semelsberger is the guy to put a very, very relentless pressure on you. But that pressure isn't exactly safe pressure. It's, I'm going to put pressure even if I eat shots. And Jeremiah Wells has some nice KO wins. I can see a world where Matt Semelsberger runs forward and Jeremiah Wells just cracks him, knocks him out, puts him out cold. But if he is able to push forward and impose his will on Jeremiah Wells, I can also see Wells kind of crumbling under it a little bit. I think the odds are nice in this fight, like it's about right, like it's almost a pick'em fight. I like Matt Semelsberger. The reason that I'm picking him is I was just so impressed with him in his last fight. I thought he looked great, and I think he will continue the rule. Even though he had a little bit of a hiccup beforehand, there's danger in this fight for him. But I think he'll get it done. Moving on to the next fight, we have Iasmin Lucindo versus Brogan Walker. Now, I'm not overly impressed with either of these fighters, honestly. Lucindo's 21 years old, so there's a lot of room for improvement. The minus 300, I kind of like it. Because here's the thing, Brogan Walker's coming off The Ultimate Fighter and looked not so good. Not so good, she lost. She has been shown to be not so great on the ground. As far as I know, she has jiu-jitsu credentials, but hasn't been able to show it in her fights. I see a world where Lucindo doesn't want to take her down because that's her game plan, is to take her down, beat her up, submit her. I think she's going to do that to Brogan Walker. I'm not overly impressed with either fighter. Lucindo's coming off of a loss as well. But I think she might be able to get this one done. I'm just not impressed by Brogan Walker. She'll try to stand up. I think she'll get taken down and beat up. That's literally my pick. I don't see her winning this fight, but again, women's MMA, anything can happen. Moving on to the next fight, the always exciting Bobby Greenberg taking on Jared Gordon. Now, something to that I think we should all note is Jared Gordon is coming off of a win over Paddy Pimblett, okay? That was not a good decision. The whole world disagreed with that. So you could say that he only has one loss to Grant Dawson in his last 5 fights, okay? However, looking at these fights, not overly impressed. And even in the Paddy Pimblett fight, I wasn't impressed either. Jared Gordon's always just been an okay fighter to me. He's just someone who's never really going to, in my opinion at least, going to make it to the top. And it's like, I don't mean to be disrespectful. And I always feel bad saying that about fighters. You know what I mean? Bobby Green, great fighter. Had a little bit of a career resurgence, but now he's on a skid. He was looking great against Drew Dober until he got finished. But that's like the Drew Dober way, right? But I believe Drew Dober is a very, very underrated fighter. So no shame in that loss. Same with Islam Makhachev, took that fight on short notice. So you can kind of excuse these losses because especially since Drew Dober, he was looking great until he got caught. Before that, looked great in his last 2 fights before that, and then lost to Fiziev. And now, even then, he looked good. Like, Bobby Green's a good fighter. I think Bobby Green's going to win a comfortable decision here. I think he's just going to do what Bobby Green does, pick him apart with the jab. And Bobby Green's been mixing in a little bit of wrestling recently, which is interesting. Only thing that worries me a little bit is sometimes we see fighters get knocked out, and he got knocked out against Drew Dober. Sometimes we see fighters get knocked out, and then their chin kind of goes away. That's really the only note for this fight. Like, that's a possibility. But Bobby Green has been notorious for not being knocked out. He's been knocked out before, but still, like, he has a really nice chin on him. I see no danger in what Jared Gordon presents, and I believe Bobby Green will take the win here. I will actually be betting on this fight. I don't know about by method of victory. I want to say decision, but Bobby Green has some nice sneaky power. I'm going to go with Bobby Green. Comfortable win. I really like him. This is my most confident pick on the card. Moving on to the next fight, and this one's a little bit tricky. We have Tavares versus Bruno Silva. So both fighters, okay, here's the thing. Bruno Silva's coming off of a couple losses. Bad losses, but to good fighters. Gerald Meerschaert, take that as you will. I think he's a good fighter. Not great, good. I'd say he's around their level, okay? But people are like, oh my God, he lost to GM3. And then, of course, the former middleweight champ. What did I say? Did I say middleweight? Middleweight champion, Alex Pereira. But before that, he's looked good. There was a lot of hype on Bruno Silva, and I still think there could be. He's pretty good everywhere. If he wants to take it to the ground, he's good there. If he wants to strike, he has some really nice power. Tavares is kind of the same deal. kind of the same deal. He's an all-around fighter, good everywhere, has some really, really solid fighting spirit. But he lacks the power, though. Bruno Silva definitely has more power. Honestly, like, I feel like just matching them up together, I would pick Bruno Silva to win, okay? Even, like, the reach is the same, height's the same. I feel like they're very similar fighters. Take a look at Tavares. He's been very inactive, but his losses, like, don't let his record fool you. His losses are to really good fighters. Like, just for example, Dricus du Plessis, you have Edmund Shabazian, and Israel Adesanya, right? Like, that's most of his losses. He fought great fighters. He has been in the middleweight division forever, but Bruno Silva hasn't fought the same level of competition. When he has, he's lost. A lot of people think that after Alex Pereira knocked Bruno Silva out, he took kind of his fighting spirit, kind of took his chin. Bruno Silva isn't the same fighter. We've seen that with fighters. Like I was just talking about, like maybe that could happen with Bobby Green. I don't think that it's... Here's the thing, like Gerald Meerschaert can just beat people, you know? He's not a bad fighter, he's a good fighter, and people are saying that because he lost after that. But maybe he just lost because GM3 won, you know what I mean? It's not because Alex knocked him out. It could be, don't get me wrong. But that's the reason why I'm like a little iffy on my choice of Bruno Silva here, because what if he isn't the same guy? I'm going to give him one more chance, though. I'm going to give Bruno Silva one more chance. If he loses this fight and loses it in dominant fashion, I think maybe I will entertain the argument that Alex Pereira just destroyed his chin, destroyed his fighting spirit. But right now, I'm still going to ride Bruno Silva. I think he will get this one done. I think he'll be a little bit better everywhere. Not have a dominant victory, though. Moving on to the co-main event. I am so excited for this one, and I am so sad that I'm not going to be able to watch this card, guys, because I love watching Song Yadong fight. And I apologize. I don't mean to be disrespectful. If somebody could correct me in the comments, I would really appreciate it. I'm always confused by some of these names. If I'm supposed to say Yadong Song, because I keep seeing people say Song Yadong. That's how I hear it often pronounced, so I'm assuming that's correct. It's just like the spelling is a little bit odd for me. Anyways, we have Song Yadong versus Ricky Simón. No hate towards Ricky Simón at all. I am just a big Song Yadong fan. Love watching him fight. So exciting. And here's the thing, okay, with Song Yadong, he looked good in his career, had a couple ups and downs, you know what I mean? But the thing is, he hasn't fought anybody of significance, besides like Marlon Moraes is a significant test, but it was at the point of Marlon Moraes' career where he was losing to everybody. He's still losing to this day. Then, this is where I was like, okay, he took on Corey Sandhagen. This is the big test for me. That's where I was like, we'll see what Song Yadong is made of. He lost that fight, lost it to a doctor's stoppage, and he was on his way to lose the decision, to be honest. But I think he passed that test with flying colors, and I officially believe that Song Yadong can hang with the top of the division after that. His performance was fantastic. Ricky Simón, though, a very, 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 very sneaky contender at bantamweight right now. Hasn't fought really, like... He hasn't fought the top contenders, but his wins are really solid. Ray Borg, great fighter, flies under the radar. If you look at Brian Keller is okay. Rafael Sunsao, a big test in the division, okay? And then Jack Shore. Jack Shore is a win that you could get. You know what I mean? Like, that is a good win. That's a tough fight. It all depends, can Ricky Simón take him down? I think that's the game plan, obviously. And if Song Yadong can keep it standing, I think he'll be able to not knock him out maybe, but outstrike him. I was just so impressed by Song Yadong's last fight. How he could keep with Corey Sandhagen. Look what Corey Sandhagen just did to Cheeto. I loved everything he did in that fight. The odds make sense. A little bit of reach disadvantage. I can't not pick Song. I can't not pick Song Yadong. Ricky Simón, if he beats Song Yadong, I'll be on the Ricky Simón train. But I am so high on this guy right now. I think he's got it, guys. I think Song Yadong is gonna win this one. And honestly, I'm gonna cheer for him. I'm a big fan of him, but I'm not being biased. Honestly, I believe he'll win this fight. Main event time. Sergei Pavlovich versus Curtis Razor Blaydes. Now, I'm a big fan of both guys. I like this fight, but I hate it at the same time. Here's the problem, okay? I believe Curtis Blaydes is the best heavyweight by far. I believe he is the most skilled. I believe he's just the best fighter in general. Problem is, he lacks a little bit of a chin. That's the only problem. But even if, like, I've seen arguments where it's like Curtis Blaydes doesn't necessarily not have a chin because he lost in Ngannou twice and then to Derek Lewis. Three guys with, like, two fighters, 3 fights with fighters with insane power. Like, here's the thing. Like, I could see Sergei coming in and just chinning him. Just right off the bat. just like we've seen him lose with Ngannou. If he doesn't, we've seen Pavlovich's one loss was against Alistair Overeem, which was not in his last fights. And he's fought some good guys, man. He's been tearing through the competition. This is an exciting fight. I'm sad I won't be able to watch it. He's tearing through the competition. But his one loss, he was taken down and beat up horribly. But then it was also his UFC debut. So how much do you really want to hold that weight? Tough fight to break down. And Curtis Blaydes is the guy to do it. But going back to what I was saying, I think Curtis Blaydes is the better fighter. It's just, will he get caught at the beginning? I believe Curtis Blaydes can beat John Jones. He is the guy in the division to do it. I'm that high on Curtis Blaydes. He is the solid #1 contender. He should be getting a title fight. I can't confidently pick either guy because Pavlovich could come in and just starch him, but Razor Blaydes could just come in and take him down. Oh, what will happen? I can see both. You know what I mean? I can't pick. I can't pick. This is a 50-50 fight. Again, gun to my head, I'd go Curtis Blaydes. But it's too unpredictable what will happen when these two clash because it could go way to one side or way to the other. If you want me to pick, I'm picking Curtis Blaydes. But man, is this a close fight. I hope Curtis Blaydes wins. And I really like Sergei. I'm a big fan of both of them. But I really want to see Curtis finally get to that title and hold it. That would be like a nice fairy tale for him. So that's my pick. Curtis Blaydes. Although it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. And that's going to do it for my picks, guys, today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you picked down below. And stay tuned because we have lots of fantastic content for you coming through. And on the screen right now, we will have 2 fantastic MMA videos for you to watch. Check them out. They are great. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Take care.